Good day everyone, I'm Narmata and my metric number is 285260. My group members are Chong Jia-eun, Lok Po-teng, Wu Chai-sian, and Muhammad Fairuz. Today my group mates and I are going to present to you Karl Marx's Law of Motion of Capitalism, and at the end we'll compare that theory with theory of economic development by Adam Smith. Now let's start with theory of history. Karl Marx saw society evolving through six stages from primitive communism to communism. In every stage, conflict occurs between oppressing class and the oppressed class. The mechanism for overthrowing old society is called class conflict. Focus of this assignment is to discuss internal contradiction within capitalism that cause class conflict between the bourgeoisie and proletariat that lead to its being overthrown and replaced by socialism. The six stages of theory of history is primitive communism, slavery, feudalism, capitalism, socialism, and communism. On the right-hand side below, we can see the stages of history and class conflict at each stage, whereas all the stages are under oppressing class and oppressed class.
Hello everyone, I am reporting. My train name is 285028. The title of this presentation is Marx's Law of Motion Capitalism. Marx used 9 important interrelated concepts to construct his theory of capitalism in the law of motion, which is the labor theory of value, the theory of exploitation, capital accumulations, and the falling rate of profit, capital accumulations and business crisis, capital accumulations and technological unemployment, centralizations of capital and concentrations of wealth, reserve army of the unemployment, and immiserations of the proletariat and class conflict. Each requires detailed elaboration. Now, let us move to the first part, labor theory of value.
Hi, my name is Chong Jia-eun. I'm from Group B. Today, I will present the labor theory of value and the theory of exploitation. Let's start it. The labor theory of value, we need to analysis of commodity in capitalist society. A commodity is something produced for profit and capable of satisfying human wants. Commodity have exchange value. So, how to know the value of a commodity? Socially necessary labor time (SNLT) determine the exchange value of a commodity. SNLT includes direct labor producing the commodity. Next, labor is embodied in the machinery and raw material that are used up during the process of production. Last, value is transferred to the commodity during the process. The meaning of SNLT is the average labor time to produce any product. For example, producing a pair of shoes is 10 hours. In case 1, incompetent worker use 20 hours to produce a pair of shoes. An incompetent worker means not having the ability to do something as it should be done. In case 2, competent worker produce a pair of shoes use 5 hours only. In the end, the value of a pair of shoes in both cases is still 10 hours. That is SNLT, the average labor time to produce any product. The second Marx's law of motion of capitalism is the theory of exploitation. Exploitation is an action of using someone unfairly for your own advantage. You can see the person who is exploited is giving the money to the exploiter, who is collecting the money. Profit is the result of exploitation of wage earners by capitalists. It rests on the labor theory of value, which claims that the product intrinsic value is according to the amount of labor that has been spent on the producing the product. That means the product intrinsic value is equal to the cost of labor. Theory of exploitation includes labor power versus labor time, surplus value, the rate of surplus value, and the rate of profit. The first theory of exploitation is labor power versus labor time. The meaning of labor power is a person's ability to work and produce commodities. Labor power is itself a commodity that is bought and sold in the market. It is what the capitalists need to make profit. Next, the meaning of labor time is the actual process and duration of work. Considering normal condition of production and the average skill and intensity of labor at the time. Labor time includes the direct labor in producing the commodity. What determines the value of labor power? The S&LT is required to produce the cultural necessity of life consumed by the workers. If the necessity could be produced in 4 hours per day, the value of the commodity labor power would be 4 hours of labor time per day. If the necessity could be produced in 2 hours per day, productivity of labor double, and the value of labor power would fall 50%. There are two important points that require emphasis here. The first importance is the market wage paid to workers were according to their labor power, means that the market wage equal labor power and equal to S&LT. The second important point is market wage is sufficient only to purchase the cultural necessity required for the survival and perpetuation of the labor force. According to Karl Heinrich Marx, capitalism produces a large reserve army of the employed, and this excess supply of labor detects that over the long run, the average wage will remain near the cultural level of subsistence. Next, surplus value. Through the picture, we can see the employee is doing everything and the employee says, everything you have is possible because of the labor power you steal from me. I need at least a livable wage. The employer is greedy. The exploitation of worker, the extraction of surplus value by capitalists, cannot occur when labor time is equal to labor power. The exploitation of labor only arises when workers produce more in a day than they must consume, means that labor time is more than the labor power. Employers pay the worker the full market value of their labor power, but the daily pay equals only part of the value that the labor creates. Necessity forces the workers to opt work, but the labor time they spend during the workday creates a larger sum of value than the value of their own labor power. The owner of the means of production gains a surplus value. Besides that, surplus value is equal to the exploitation of workers. Labor exploitation occurs when employees are forced to work in longer hours, so capitalism can earn more surplus value. Employers pay workers according to market value, which is daily pay equals only part of the value of the labor created. Labor time is more than the value of labor power and the cost of subsistence. The value produced by living labor minus the exchange value of labor power, which is wage, equal to surplus value, which is profit that gained by employers.
I am reporting. Marx illustrates these ideas with a numerical example that we summarize in this figure. The x-axis labor work days hour, while y-axis show total cost of production per hours of work. The capitalists employ the laborers whom they supply with their required of machinery and raw materials. Employer pays workers RM3, assumptions market wage equal to labor power and equal to SNLT. There is no exploitation of workers because capitalists pay the workers on the market value of his or her labor power, which is RM3, which labor time equal to labor power. The total money cost of production of yarn is RM15, which is a normal profit. 3 is for the labor power, 10 is for the cotton, and 2 is for the machine. If profit does not arise from buying cheaply and selling dearly, and if all commodities sell at their value, then the yard must sell for RM15. One way capitalists can secure a surplus and value and profit is by exploiting the workers to work extra hours without paying for their extra labor time, which is labor time bigger than labor power. By forcing the worker to work extra 6 hours, the capitalist secures a surplus value of RM3. This surplus value arises from the exploitation of labor. Hence, the rate of exploitation is 100%. The total cost of production is RM27. If the capitalists want to gain extra surplus value, they can force their workers to work for another 6 hours, which is 18 hours. The capitalist secures another surplus value of RM3. So, the total cost of production is 39 ringgit. In conclusion, by asking the workers to work extra hours, labor can be exploited by their employee to gain profit. The capital that goes for wage for the purchase of labor power is variable capital. The extra value is produced, which is the capitalist tax without compensating the workers who produce it, is surplus value. The rate of surplus value, or the rate of exploitation, is given in the equation, which is surplus value to the variable capital times 100, or unpaid labor time to the paid labor time times 100. In this example, used for figure before, for hours 7 to 12, rate of surplus value is 100% because surplus value equals to 3 and variable capital equals to 3. If the working day has been extended to 18 hours, the rate of surplus value would have been 200%. The rate of profit in Marx's formulations is the ratio of surplus value to the constant capital and variable capital, or the ratios of surplus value to the total capital invested. This table shows a sample of calculations for the rate of profit. The total cost of production for 12 hours is 27 ringgit, and the surplus value is 3 ringgit. Then we can sum it into the formula. Hence, the rate of profit is 11.1%. When the working hour extends to 18 hours, the total cost production is 39 ringgit, and surplus value for 18 hours is 6 ringgit. Hence, the rate of profit is 15.4%.
Hello everyone, I'm Narmata. Starting from this slide, I'll be explaining to you capital accumulation. Now, we're going to talk about capital accumulation. Capital accumulation happens when an increase in asset from investment or profit is one of the building blocks of capitalist economy. This leads to falling rate of profit, business crisis, and technological unemployment. Let's look into the relationship of capital accumulation and falling rate of profit. The counterpart of Marx's general law of the capital accumulation is the law of falling tendency, the rate of profit. Whereas the tendency of rate of profit to fall, which is TRPF, is a theory in a crisis theory of political economy. This is according which the rate of profit decreases over time. rate of profit tend to fall over the long period. The reason rate of profit tend to fall in long run is the drive towards increasing efficiency through using machineries. The increase in organic composition of capital (OCC) despite the rise in labor productivity and the rate of surplus value leads to lower profitability. The falling rate of profit. According to Karl Marx, the falling rate of profit will raises the organic composition of capital, which is OCC and known as Q. And the following can be calculated using the formula below. Q, which is organic composition of capital, equivalent to constant capital divided by total capital. Total capital consists of constant capital and also variable capital. The second one is alternative of profit rate equation, which is P prime equivalent to S prime times with 1 minus Q. This new formula indicates that rate of profit P prime varies directly with the rate of surplus value, which is S prime. The rate of profit varies inversely with organic composition of capital Q. If capitalists invest more on machinery and less on labor, Q will increase and P will decrease. Therefore, why capitalists still use machinery? First one is to promote efficient production. The greater use of machinery will produce the production cost that will decrease the entire production. So the price will fall, and other firms who cannot compete will leave the market. Second one is the greater the efficiency of production, the lower the value of labor power, which is LP. The number of hours required to produce the substances and the greater total amount of profit produced per working day.
Hi everyone, my name is Wu Caixian, number metric 284561. Now I will continue to discuss the foreign rate of profit. So this part is discussing about the offsetting force to the foreign rate of profit. So if there are offsetting force to the foreign rate of profit, it will bring to three impacts. First, it will increase the intensity of exploitations, which means that the worker will be forced to increase their pace of work and also lengthening their working day. Second, the wages is temporarily be cut below their value, and third is the constant capital will be more cheaper, which means that the machine and the raw material will become cheaper, and the rise in the organic compositions of the capital and the fall in rate of profit. So both of these will become more slower. So now we will move on to discuss about the capital accumulations and business crisis. So Karl Marx has attacked the same law and stated that the process of exchange from commodity to money to commodity is only best applied to simpler commodity production. So under the large scale of capitalist productions, the process is become money to commodity and to money. So this means that the people will buy in order to sell. So the money will change into commodity such as labor power and raw material then sold it for money. So after that, Karl Marx extend the process of exchange to become money to commodity and to the money that has the exploitations of labor power. This is the process of expanding investment for capital accumulations. Hence, the rapid investment in capital and labor will temporarily increase the demand for labor, and this also increases the wages that capitalists must pay. However, the higher wages will reduce the rate of surplus value and profit, and ending the expansions and sending the economy in the opposition direction. So this dispersion results in destroying the monetary value of fixed capital and also enabling the larger capitalists to buy out smaller ones at the bargain price. So it will make some factory be closed, price of commodity will decrease, and the credit contract and wages will fall. So the rate of the surplus value and profit will get restored and increase in investment again. Next is the technology unemployment. So when the rate of technology in economy, it will increase the unemployment rate. This is because the labor was substituted with the capital, machinery, technology, and also robot. Next is the path of the centralization of capital and concentrations of wealth. So first is about growing size of the firm by weakening the competitions into fewer hands. Second, when there are increasing of capital centralizations and concentration, it will occur the image of monopoly power. Third, the larger firms are able to obtain the economy of scale and producing at lower average cost is compared with the smaller firm. Fourth, when the competition is a larger firm, lower cost firm and smaller firm, it will cause to the eliminations of the smaller firm and growth of the monopoly firm. And the last is the concentrations and centralization that caused by capital accumulations, economy of scale, and the dominance of the corporations in business organization. In this part is discussed about the reserve army of the unemployed and the immiserations of the proletariat. So the market wages is only be sufficient when they are purchased on the cultural subsistence they require for survival and the perpetuations of the labor force. Besides, the worker is forced to be work sufficiently long to create a surplus value for the capitalist. Next, labor will be replaced by machines, which is the unemployment rate will be increased, and the last is the labor are in the situations of poor and jobless. The last concept they discuss in the law of motion is class conflict. So the class conflict is defined as the concentrations of wealth among fewer and fewer capitalists and as a root of the relative impoverishment of the worker. So the capitalists are accumulate their wealth by exploiting the worker. So the growing of misery, exploitations, oppressions, and degradations among workers is raising their sense of solidarity, which cause them will be reward. So the relations of productions, which called ROP, under capitalism is come in conflict with the force of productions, which also called FOP, and the former are rapidly transformed. The worker is also overthrow the capitalists and they are established a dictator of the proletariat, which means that the capitalism is replaced by the socialism and the private ownership is replaced by the state ownership of productions. The rate of capital expansion is stabilized and the exploitation of workers is eliminated. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Muhammad Fairuz and I will explain the consequences of capital accumulation from Karl Marx, Law of Motion of Capitalism, and Adam Smith, the theory of economic development. So this is Law of Motion versus theory of economic development. Starting from Law of Motion, starting with labor theory of value, and then effect to the theory of exploitation, and then effect to capital accumulation. From capital accumulation, give three effects, which is falling rate of profit, business crisis, and technological unemployment. And then effect to the centralization of capital and concentration of wealth, and reserve army of the unemployed, and immiserization of the proletariat. And the last is going to the class conflict. For the theory of economic development, starting with division of labor, effect to the capital accumulation. From division of labor and capital accumulation, effect to the increase in productivity. And then from increase in productivity, effect to the increase of national output. And from increase national output, effect to increase wealth of nation. And then from the capital accumulation also affect increase in wages found and highest wages. According to Marx, capital accumulation will cause a falling rate of profit, business crisis, and technological unemployment. This outcome produces centralization of capital and concentration of wealth, as well as rising unemployment and poverty. Apart from this, the polarization of capitalists and workers lead to class conflict and the collapse of capitalism. So from this theory, Adam Smith assert that the division of labor stimulates the accumulation of capital. And then both of the division of labor and the accumulation of capital work together to increase labor productivity. This increase in labor productivity affect the increase in national production. This has expanded the market and further justified the division of labor and the accumulation of capital. In turn, the result of capital accumulation has increased the wage and salary fund. Higher wages lead to productivity growth. Therefore, an increase in national production increase the goods available for consumption and further symbolize the wealth of a country. So for conclusion, Adam Smith believed that the capital accumulation will bring positive effect. According to the theory of economic development, division of labor spurs capital accumulation. Both division of labor and capital accumulation will increase labor productivity and then increases national output. As a result of capital accumulation, wages found increase and wages rises and will motivate further productivity growth. The rise in national output increase the goods available for consumption, thus constitutes of wealth of nation. For Karl, he believed that capital accumulation will bring negative effect. According to the law of motion theory, capital accumulation will cause a falling rate of profit and business crisis of technological unemployment. This outcome produced centralization of capital and concentration of wealth as well as rising unemployment and poverty. The polarization of capitalists and workers lead to class conflict and the collapse of capitalism.